So, hey guys, this afternoon, I confess it's been a little bit of a struggle to sit and record this podcast today. I'm always so determined to release a new episode every week and, be super consistent with it. I think consistency is the number one thing that will contribute to your success over anything else. And usually it's really easy for me to come up with a topic that I'm pretty sure is going to resonate with you listeners, just as it does with me in my business and with my clients. But for once in my life, I think I have had the podcaster's equivalent of writer's block. So what I've decided to do is actually tell you what's been distracting me and kind of exhausting my physical and creative energies over the last few days and weeks, because in the last couple of months, I have acquired a new e-commerce business. And to say it's been a whirlwind few weeks, and that would be an enormous understatement. This new business has pretty much commanded every waking minute of my attention, and I'd say probably many sleeping ones as well. The brand, it's a skincare and beauty brand, and if you want to go check it out, it's called Indagare Beauty. I will link to that in the podcast show notes because it is a bit of a made-up word. Indagare Beauty was actually founded by a former coaching client and friend of mine, Tanya Joslin, who formulated the most amazing skincare products that I've been using for a couple of years now. And really what I guess, for her, the time came that she decided it was time to pass the baton on to a new owner who has the skill set required to scale the business from where it is now. And Tanya also actually has another business in the travel industry, and she gets to live the most amazing lifestyle with that business, flitting off to various international destinations every month. So I'm the new custodian of Indagare Beauty, and a couple of weeks ago took the keys to the business. And this whole process, it's been a lot, I can tell you. For starters, if you are going to go through a sale process, either as the seller or the buyer, make sure you set aside an entire day just to go through the handover stuff, like getting control of Facebook and Instagram pages and ad accounts, Google Analytics, Google Ads, Shopify, Klaviyo, all of those various different things. I mean, all of these platforms, they have their own unique logins and two-factor authentication things in place, and it's a real process to shift that over to a new owner. In the end, we were actually not able to take over the previous Meta ad account. One of the many delightful quirks of Meta ads, said firmly with tongue in cheek there, is that you actually can't shift an ad account out of one business manager into another. So we've actually had to start a fresh ad account from scratch. So I might do another episode about that because, there's a certain process that we've gone through to warm that up and to really get it converting and, obviously moving into the scaling phase soon. But we'll do that another episode. And then, the evening of the handover day, we actually launched the end of financial year sale. So my team and I, we had to have all of the marketing and advertising assets ready to roll out before we even had access to the platforms. So yeah, I could probably record a whole episode on the process of negotiating a business purchase or sale, going through the due diligence process, and then finalising the settlement and going through the handover. And maybe I will do that one day. But today I felt like it could be a little bit more helpful for all of you to hear about what we're doing now, what we've done since the handover, of course, but what we're doing now and how we are moving ahead to scale the business, because the bottlenecks and opportunities within this business are so very similar to those experienced by probably 99% of the clients and the potential clients who speak to us about their business. And there would be many, many more of you listeners who are in the similar boat. So today on the show, I'm actually going to walk you through some of the growth strategy that we are in the process of already implementing, and that will take Indagare from about 10 to 15K revenue per month brand into a $1 million a year business within the next year and multi-million dollars a year within the next 3 years. Now, Before we get there, I want to check in with you guys. Have you booked in for one of our free coaching sessions yet? Because we do still have a few, well, we have a few spaces that we've opened up each week for several weeks. So they are available for e-commerce brand owners who are ambitious but feel a bit stuck right now with how you are going to achieve your goals. And if that sounds like you and you would really like to enjoy a little bit of more rapid sales growth like we are about to discuss, then I would love to invite you to book that in. So you just go to catherinelangman.com and you'll find the link in the top menu. So let's dive into how we are growing Indagare Beauty, this new brand. And like I said, overcoming some of the very, very common problems and bottlenecks that I know, probably nearly all e-commerce brands that are in that kind of early stage to early growth stage are experiencing. I think when you get into scaling, a different kind of issues crop up. So if you're already doing 7 figures and above per year, you can potentially clock out a little bit here. But I'm going to go through a whole lot of interesting stuff. So let me talk you through the problems that the business has at the moment. I'm not going to mention here, I mean, obviously, the previous owner of the business, she was running a couple of businesses, so she certainly didn't have full-time hours to devote to this business. Well, neither do I really, but I've got a team at my disposal, so that definitely helps. And a lot of experience. So I'm not, that's not really a problem per se. That was potentially a bottleneck, but it was just the way things were. But the real problems, I would say, are revenue has declined since the peak of COVID, which I think pretty much every e-commerce business has experienced, barring those, that operate in industries that were shut down by COVID, like travel. And that decline plateaued over the last year, but it hasn't really started tracking up again since then. So that's a bottleneck and a problem that we definitely need to overcome. Secondly, the website conversion rate is below average and definitely something that I'll be working on as a priority. The business has an incredibly loyal customer base and a really high repeat customer base, but it hasn't been really converting many new customers for a period of time now. So it's great that it's got so many returning customers. So that's a good win. But in terms of, bottlenecks and problems, or you can flip the script and describe that as an opportunity, it hasn't been winning many new customers for a little while. Average order value is a bit lower than I would like to see. Traffic volumes are definitely lower than I would like to see. And like probably every single business in Australia over the last year or so, the increases in costs, from production, packaging, shipping, you name it, has definitely been shrinking profit margins. And not to mention, I mean, they're all very specific to this particular business, but, the business itself or the product itself operates in an incredibly congested, competitive product category, being skincare and beauty. So I know that actually getting cut through and connecting with the target market and trying to stand out from competitors, those are all going to be a pretty tall ask as well. Now, to top all of that off, there's a few additional constraints that I should mention here. Obviously, I do have a team at my disposal here. However, I am running, essentially 2 businesses already. So our agency and our coaching and education program. And so I certainly do not have the time to be packing orders or handling all the customer service. So that'll be a constraint. Secondly, I don't have the time, skill set or interest really in creating and sharing all of the graphics and content on socials. And, I guess an extension of that, I certainly don't have the time to be implementing all of the marketing either. So a bunch of constraints there on top of those, problems and bottlenecks. And so how are we going about overcoming all of those impediments to growth? And, how are we going to do that with those three constraints in place? And the obvious answer of course, to needing help with implementing all of the marketing is to use my agency team. And I certainly will be doing that. But I just wanted to highlight and mention here that I can't do that for free. They all actually do need to be paid. And the current revenue level that Indagare is at is not what I would say sufficient to pay our agency fees in full. Not that Indagare is getting a discount, but what I'm going to be doing is rolling things out in a staggered step-by-step fashion. So in order of what's going to have the biggest impact on revenue growth onwards, so that we can fund it all through the sales revenue banked and, through having that cash flow coming in. That's essential. I mean, at the end of the day, yes, I have an amazing team here, but like all small businesses, cash flow is always going to be an issue. And so we always have to be super mindful about how we go about implementing everything. I think that it goes without saying that all of you should be doing the same as well, really trying to make sure that you are focusing your investment of time and money into the highest impact strategies that are going to make take you the farthest or get you the best return on effort and return on investment in the shortest space of time, so that you can fund your growth through revenue banked. Anyway, so the first thing that we did, obviously, we went into our end of financial year sale a little bit early, I suppose, for many brands that just have started in the last week. However, I was kind of keen to do that. Like I mentioned earlier, we were taking over a business where we had to set up a brand new, fresh Facebook ad account, and being able to warm that up and get the conversion data happening as quickly as possible, I knew would be critical to being able to train the algorithm in our favor and to be able to place ads in front of the right people and enable us to move ahead more efficiently, I guess, in terms of getting the traffic and sales from ads. And it was a cracking sale. We made sure we had all of the content, graphics for the website, the strategy as well, what was going to be the sale incentive, was it, coupon, prices as marked, et cetera, et cetera. So we had all of the content ready to load up on the website and in ads and emails as well. And so we were able to kick straight into that and hit the ground running with conversions in the ad account, as well as, all the other channels that we were using. And so that really got things moving straight away, which was fantastic. But whilst that was, all rolling out and doing its thing, you implement all of your ads and your emails and you get things scheduled and, you track what's going on in there. But essentially then you've got a little bit of time to do a few other things whilst you're watching and monitoring and optimizing and scaling those kinds of campaigns. And so the next thing that we worked through was actually auditing all of the platforms. And of course, this is something that all of our clients get to benefit from when working with us. Super detailed audit of each of the platforms to figure out, in a lot more detail. I mean, I've already listed what the main problems were, but it's like, well, what's causing all of that, right? What's causing the low conversion rate? What's causing the lower average order value, et cetera, et cetera. So going through all of the various platforms, from looking at the website from a conversion perspective, an SEO perspective, all of the ad platforms, email platform, and working out what do we need to do to improve what's happening on all of those platforms, and then designing strategies that are going to, each of these platforms need to contribute a certain amount of traffic and sales to the overall business, right? When you think, and I've spoken on the podcast before and in blogs as well, about the three kinds of traffic that we need to grow an e-commerce business: owned, earned, and paid. Each of these sorts of traffic have, they should contribute a certain percentage of the traffic and a certain percentage of the revenue. And if they're not, then what can we do to lift them to the benchmark that they should be at? And obviously also to do so in a profitable way. I mean, when we're paying for traffic, which you have to do when you want to scale a business, when you're paying for traffic, it's still got to be profitable. And so these are all the sums and projections and, goals to set. And then, like I said, going through and doing the audits and then planning the strategies and the budgets that are going to, overcome those issues and to meet those traffic and sales targets. So, that then informs those detailed projections and budgets as well. So it kind of becomes like this big puzzle, I guess, where you can start to put all of the pieces into place and know that with a fair amount of confidence and certainty that you're going to get the result out the other end that you want. There is more to it than that, though. Of course, we are building a brand here. And even though I've used this product for quite some time, it's not, it is a new business to me as an owner, and it's not like I'm super familiar with all of the competitors either. So doing some market research and also really trying to understand the ideal customer base in a lot more detail is important. So, being able to refine the customer avatar to really understand and document that buyer journey, and also just figure out, what is unique and different about Indagare Beauty as a brand, and where does this brand fit in the marketplace? So looking at the brand positioning. And from there, going into a bit of a brand refresh. So how will we, connect the brand in what, that position in the marketplace? How are we going to connect the brand to the ideal customer? And in a way where we are communicating those unique differentiating brand factors and values. How are we going to communicate that to the right customer and attract the right customer? So, working through that brand refresh process, redesigning the website in line with that brand refresh so that it's, from a communication perspective and making sure it's super appealing to the right ideal customer, but also, to work on increasing the conversion rate and the average order value. So there's the kind of the fun storytelling side of it, and then the practical data and numbers side of it. From there, also working on a comprehensive content strategy, a promotional calendar, and down the track, a new product pipeline as well. Part of the marketing content strategy is getting a brand rep program up and running. And, I guess like a number of products, skincare and beauty products are certainly the kind of product where, more and more people these days are certainly accustomed to purchasing these things online, but it's not like you can try it before you buy it. So how can you overcome that particular, it is a perceived risk, for a new customer to go ahead and decide to buy a skincare product online that they can't try in advance. So being able to showcase user-generated content, for example, is one way that we'll be able to get around that and, demonstrate the products and have have real customers essentially describing and showcasing and demonstrating what it's like to use these products, what it feels like, what, the difference it's made to their skin and to their hair. How, what do they love about it? How does it feel like on their skin? All of this kind of stuff. So that's going to be fun. We're also working on, on the Klaviyo side of things. Of course, Klaviyo is probably my favorite tool in my toolkit, and working on how can we really maximize the what we're getting out of this amazing platform. And so looking at the list building strategy and the flow strategy, how can we lift new and repeat customer conversions as much as possible there. There's so much that you can do in that particular platform, but that's where we're starting first, and then we'll be moving on to other aspects of Klaviyo. We're also definitely going to be looking at the pricing strategy to make sure that it is as profitable as it needs to be after all of the cost increases that everyone has had to withstand over the last year. And also implementing our really detailed data tracking dashboards so that we can make sure we monitor and review and analyze and understand the impact of everything that we're doing. There's no point changing everything or anything in the business if you don't then actually see what happens and make note of it and be sure that the changes in results are what you were intending and looking for and all of that kind of stuff. So we will be pretty ruthless with that as well. But the final piece of the puzzle has to be and is taking massive action and moving really quickly with execution. And you can listen to last week's episode of the podcast if you haven't already as to why that is so incredibly important. It's all well and good to have the perfect strategy, but if you can't implement things efficiently and, take that massive rapid action, then you can't expect much to change in a very speedy way. But after all, with all of that said and done, at the end of the day, this is not really a guesswork kind of process. It is a proven process. Like I said before, it is basically like a puzzle, working through all of the numbers side of things. And then from a creative perspective, how are we going to be communicating and, creating the vibe? Is that a technical word? Creating the vibe. I'm sure there was a line in The Castle that was about the vibe of things. Anyway, putting that all together and it is like a puzzle, and it is a proven process. It's the process that we help all of our clients with, and it generates reasonably predictable results. I mean, I'll never go out and say you can set a goal and you get it 100% down to the cent. That would be remiss of me, but within 10% of goal, I think is pretty amazing. I think a lot of businesses would love to get that close to their goals. And if that is the kind of results that you would like to enjoy, and you would like to get to the end of the year and just feel content because you totally expected to get those results rather than really stress to the max about where your next order will come from, then I think you would like to have this process in your business as well. Maybe you should book a call with us. You can book a strategy call or a coaching call, up to you. Strategy call, probably more relevant if you are really ready to scale up now. Perhaps if you're an earlier stage or a startup stage business, a coaching call might be more relevant. We'll put the links to both in the podcast show notes page, though, and look forward to having a chat with some of you guys soon. That's it for today, though. I hope you can continue on the journey with me as I build this business. I will be sharing more of the journey over time. And through this podcast, of course, all of our coaching clients and our agency clients, they get to see all of the nitty-gritty details. So, they get to see everything, including the profit and loss projections, results, all the back end of our ad accounts, our Klaviyo accounts, what we're doing behind the scenes on the website, all of that kind of stuff. All our clients get to see all of the nitty-gritty. So, that's pretty exciting for them. But I will be sharing, a lot of the journey with you guys on the podcast as well over the coming months and years, and look forward to taking you on that journey with me. That's it from me today. I hope you've enjoyed this fun little episode, and I look forward to being on the show with you again next week. Bye for now.